Well, that woke me up, David. Good morning.
Okay, Helena, welcome. Your first. Let's go. Don't worry, we've got no viewers, so it's okay.
Just before we go, can Thandi and Guy still get in, even though we're live? Will they join when they get? Perfect. So my suggestion would be for us just to land together, and then I'll run through what I'm planning for today, and then we can just go. So let me run through what I'm planning for us, so that gives Guy and Thandi another moment to arrive. So I've revised our check-in. After having checked in with all of you, I became aware that there's all kinds of underlying tensions that I was picking up. So I thought it would be good for us to start with checking in first round. Why don't I want to be here today in this moment? And why do I want to be here? And then we'll see how that round goes. And then we'll look at knowing what I know now. Can I commit to being here for the next 6 sessions? Am I sure going to be here? And if yes, what am I comfortable with? Because I know that some people have issues with times and so on. So we can check that in once we're sure who really feels like they want to be in. Hey, Guy.
I'm in the show now. Wow.
You're in the show. Welcome.
Hey, Guy.
Hello,
Guy.
everybody. Good to see you all.
Hi there.
You too.
Hello. Can you pronounce your name for me, please? Bongili.
Okay, I'm going to teach everyone how to pronounce it correctly. Bongile.
Bongili.
Bongile.
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 I heard somebody call you Bon. I thought that was probably a very effective shortening of your name. Does everyone call you Bon?
Yeah, it's Bongile. So I guess I will teach you guys how to pronounce it right as we go along.
Well, don't worry, Bongile. They're still not getting my name right either.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
We'll get there. So with all of that having been said, so we'll see who's in, and then David will leave early, and Kiara needs to leave after an hour as well. She's got another appointment as well. And then the remains, we'll just spend on talking what we've seen, what we've learned, and then we'll check out. Okay, so now that I'm thoroughly rattled both by the beginning and the name conversation, I'm going to suggest that we all just close our eyes and just taking a deep breath in. I'm just going to take 1 minute just to land in this moment. So just becoming aware of whatever you're sitting in. And becoming aware of the sound. Perhaps we can all mute now. It might be good, except for me. It won't work if I mute. Okay. Whatever you're sitting on, and really feel that holding and supporting you. And just taking another deep breath in. And just acknowledging that you chose to be here this morning. And just sitting with that, just for 2 breaths. Just really acknowledging your power of choice and where it places you. becoming aware if there's any sensations in your body that's maybe stronger than anywhere. Some sensations may be stronger than others. There might be some tightness. And just for a moment, just naming it. Tight neck, tense eyes, not really wondering about it or telling a story about it, just acknowledging that it's there. And then just taking another breath in and just noticing the breath as it enters. Could go in either through the nose or the mouth. Just noticing. As it goes smoothly in and out. Or does it meet with obstacles on the way? And now just, for a moment, become aware of a part of your body that's not very obvious. That there's no immediate sensation. If you can't find something, just rest in whatever you find. And then just taking one more breath in. And just ask yourself, why don't I want to be here right now? Just check if there's any part of you that resists being here. And as simply as you can, name it. And then ask yourself, why am I here? Why do I want to be here? And then just taking one last breath in and sighing it out. And then when you're ready, just becoming aware once again of whatever you're sitting on. Becoming aware of sounds around you. And just becoming aware that you're here with a group of other people. And when you're ready, you can just open your eyes. Okay, well, we seem to have lost Tia. And just check David if she's maybe dropped out and in the waiting room. Okay. So what I'm going to suggest we do is we're going to do a check-in round. And because today is about check-ins, it's both about understanding how check-in works in dialogue. The dialogue's not a facilitated session. So except for the first session, the rest of most dialogue sessions will have a short check-in that will set the tone for the entire dialogue. And as the person convening the space, you really want to be aware of how different questions will evoke different responses. And in a way, it will influence where the dialogue goes, especially in the beginning. Once a group is more experienced, you can also ask the group to come in with a checkout question, and then the group will usually vote on whatever carries the most impulse for them. But today, because it's our first session together, I really want to get a sense of where everyone's at, how we feel about spending time together, and start setting a container, getting commitment, and seeing how we move forward. And I think a really good place to start is just to speak to each other. Why don't we want to be here, and why do we want to be here? and to hear ourselves saying it out loud. So I'll start, and this is also something you can choose to do. You can set the tone of the check-in by how you check in. You can choose someone in the group, or you can ask for a volunteer. So I'm checking in. I don't want to be here because I'm feeling quite anxious. I'm worried about getting it wrong. And at this moment, being in my bed, reading a book and not having to worry about anything seems a much more pleasant option. I don't want to be here because I've put a lot of work into this and I'm worried about getting it wrong. So there we go again. And I don't want to be here because I'm not completely sure that everyone else wants to be here. Hey, Tia.
I lost you completely. So I was thinking.
Okay. I'm just busy with the check-in, so everyone else is going to go. We're going with why don't I want to be here? Why do I want to be here? Why do I want to be here? I want to be here because this is really important to me. I've put a lot of work and time into developing this prototype, and I think without David's encouragement, I would still be thinking about it. So I want to both honor what I bring, and I want to honor the space that David's created. And I also want to be here with all of you. Except for Bongile, I have spent time with all of you, and I really trust what you bring. So that's why I want to be here. And I'm going to end with saying we're going to have a nice short round after this one, so don't worry if you leave anything else out. You might remember it as everyone goes. So I'm going to ask for a volunteer, and if there's no one, I'll name someone.
I'll volunteer. Reasons I don't want to be here. I think there's always, for me, discomfort in being in a position where people see me, hear me. There's always a little bit of performance anxiety, that there's a little bit of fear that I might freeze up and not know what to say, just that kind of thing. But it's very mild this morning. The reasons I do want to be here, I want to be supportive of Helena, and I'm interested in doing something new, something different, because I feel like I always go to the same groups and it's nice to do something a little bit different. And I want to be connected, and I'm very comfortable. I know everyone on this group, so I'm very comfortable in this arena, except Bongile, but I'm curious to know more about him. Yeah, that's me.
Go, Guy. Can't hear, Guy.
We can't hear you, Guy. We can hear the birds, but we can't hear you.
No, the birds are mine.
No, still can't.
So I'll go while Guy's trying to sort out his sound. Fuck. So I don't want to be here because I just think, what's the fucking point? I'm tired of.
Can you hear me now?
All this kind of self-help stuff. All this. Yeah, we can hear you. Do you want to go quickly, Guy?
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can.
Go, Guy.
Well, then why can't I hear you? I'll talk. The reason I might not want to be here, I actually do want to be here, really, but the reason I might not want to be here it would have been nice to have a bit more time to eat my food slowly, and maybe to have a meal that wasn't needing to be quickly ready for me. And yeah, that I might embarrass myself or something, I guess, is maybe a bit of a shadow that's there, that something like that. But reasons to be here. I'm really curious to see how this world of live stuff works. I haven't ever been in this environment exactly before. It's very similar to a Zoom room, I noticed. I'm curious to see, I've done some work with the dialogue stuff with Helena before, and just wanted to be here. I like hanging out with you guys, and I'm here to learn. So I'm in with that.
So yeah, as I was saying, is I don't want to be here because I think what's the point of making a tit of myself, make myself kind of vulnerable here, screaming. I just think, oh God, why am I doing this? So that's quite a stretch. The reason I do want to be here is it's nice to support Helena. I said I would be here, and I like to honor my word and deliver on what I say, so to kind of stand in integrity. And it's nice to see Bongile and Guy here. I know them both from the Mankind Project. And yeah, so I'm feeling tired at the end of the year with all this self-help process stuff. I'm in with that. Thanks.
Okay, Bongile here. Why don't I want to be here? I've got a lot of work that needs to be done. That needs to be finished. So I'm worried about how am I going to make it, just to be in integrity as well with my other commitments. I don't know if I have more. Not why don't I want to be here? I want to be here to learn. Just to see how, to learn more about the way you approach, Helena. Because obviously people do things differently. It was just refreshing to do a check-in in this fashion today, where it's why don't I want to be here? Why I want to be here? Just that fresh way of doing it. I think it's more about learning that I want to be here and connect with you guys. Really connect with white people in this fashion. I always like saying it in this way. I see it, when you say that, people go like that, but it is what it is. Yeah. I think that's why I want to be really connect with whiteness and the white culture, and also unity, bring it back home to the black people that are in my circle, to see that it is doable. And I always talk about nation building. How do we build this nation without connecting like that and doing these uncomfortable things, of race mixture, So that's why I'm here, and I feel I'm blessed to be here. I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, Bongile. Both for putting a smile on my face, letting me feel less nervous, naming what's in the room so beautifully, and for the blessing. So I want to invite another round. We're just going to do a short one. And so if anyone's left out anything that they now are remembering. So when Bongile spoke about nation building, about seeing what white culture is like, I suddenly remembered, oh yeah, I actually want to do this work because I believe it's important and it needs to be done, which I forgot in the first round. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention, Bongile, is my check-in. I woke up this morning and a huge part of me didn't want to be here. And I've learned with dialogue that it's very important to name that, because it would be alive somewhere within the group. So it's really to be able to bring any discomfort in a check-in question, but in a way that really allows for it to be brought in respectfully. So once again, how you phrase the question, but to really honor how you wake up on a day where you have to do a dialogue and to bring it. And I'm going to end with this. I recently had a session I do co-learning with someone, and we both arrived at the session really not feeling like it, but we were both too polite to say anything. So only once the session was over, and we both then admitted that we didn't want to be there, that any real learning started to take place. And that was a huge lesson for me, because then we could really be authentic and speak about where we were coming from. So with that, I just want to see if anyone wants to add anything. Hey, Tia.
Hi, love. Sorry, apologies. That's all the reason to be here. I missed all of that. My Wi-Fi's playing up this morning.
You can watch it. You can watch the replay on a number of pages.
That's the only reason why I wouldn't be here this morning.
Have you checked in, Tia?
No.
Okay.
No.
And then, Emma, you can go after Tia. Tia, why don't you want to be here today, and why do you?
So first of all, I do. I made a choice, but if I was going that way, then I would say, besides the Wi-Fi, that time would be restricting for me. So I want to be committed to being with you as we've been doing a bit of work over this time period. But I'm making a choice today. You know, I'm making a choice to be here, to be present, to deepen my learning. As we all know, I love to walk journeys with people, so their journeys. So I show up, or attempt to this morning. So there wouldn't be any, that would just be the reason why. Time limiting, a lot to do. Yeah. So yeah, I'm in with that. Love being with you, Helena. I like who I am when I'm with you. And I think you bring great gifts. Thank you.
So Tia, we're just having a last quick check-in case someone.
I think what I just wanted to add, and I didn't put in my first, put in my check-in, was that I often feel compelled when something makes me uncomfortable, or if something's intimidating me or making me uncomfortable, I feel that I must push myself to do that thing, and it is because that's where I can learn something about myself. If it gives me the opportunity to kind of try and figure out what it is that's uncomfortable, then maybe I can learn something about myself.
Anyone else? Okay, so David, what time do you need to go?
I've got about another 10 minutes. And I just really wanted to appreciate Bongile saying, yeah, he likes hanging out with white people, whatever it was that he said, to kind of just take that, like, oh, okay. So, I mean, I'm curious. I mean, I want to talk about the race stuff, but yeah, I want to make sure that everyone else does too, because I think it's important. And also, yeah. My underlying thing around it though is addiction, and I know that addiction impacts everyone, and that doesn't discriminate, and that's really the. So when there's a family that's in pain because someone's got an addiction problem, it's the same whether they're black, white, blue, pink, yellow, green, or whatever it is. And that's the one common wound that can bring people together in dialogue where people can connect through a common pain, which isn't as polarized as black, white, the race stuff. And I really want to reach out to all the diverse communities that are impacted by the loneliness of addiction. But that's my agenda. And that's the thing that drives me to come here, to kind of create, get skill sets, we can have better dialogue around that stuff.
Thank you, David. I think it's part of the reason I want to be here as well, and part of the reason I don't want to be here, because I feel like we are overrepresented as white people in this group right now. Having said that, I'm hoping that in a future session, when we've got more time, we can have the dialogue and we can set the parameters and have it in a way that actually is what everyone here feels safe with and can learn from. But I know we've only got a couple of minutes left. So David, the answer is yes, I would love to go there. I just don't know if right now would be the time, because before you go, I really just want to get a sense of people's commitment. And there's two parts to it. So the one is, do you want to be here for another 6 sessions or for another 5 sessions to finish the first round? And the second is really around, if you do you feel like you still want to do it this year? Because my sense is that people are tired. So I will start again. So I'm committed definitely for the next 6 sessions. I've really put my heart into this, and I really believe I want to follow it through, even if it's just with one of you, but hopefully with all of you. And I'm feeling quite tired, so my sense is that it would be better to pick it up next year, but I'm open to what the group brings. My commitment is strong enough that I'll make time if there's a strong enough energy from everyone else. So with that, I'm in with the second question, and I'm going to open it for a volunteer, and we'll just see where we're at.
Okay, so I'll go. Just so I'm committed, even though I don't want to be here, and it's like, what's the fucking point of it? I'm also committed to doing it this year, to keeping the pace up, and to do it over the holiday season. It gives me something to do and to be a part of. So I'd like to carry on. The challenge I've got is just today is just also tying off the last few pieces before I have the time to really be here. So I'd actually like to, I'm for carrying on with this round. And yeah. Next person.
Yeah, okay, I'll go. I'm certainly committed to being here for the next 5 weeks. then, or the next 5 sessions, and yeah, because of discussions we've had about this in the past, I feel like I've got a part of me invested in it already anyway. And yeah, look, I'd be happy. I mean, I glanced at my calendar earlier today and then again just now to see if it was right. But if I was imagining we were going to do 6 sessions from this each week from now, and which I'm happy to do, and I'm happy to commit to that, and that would finish us up on the 30th of December. And I was thinking, wow, well, that'd be sort of cool. We get module 1 out of, get done this year, and then have a couple of weeks off, and then in mid-January start with the next 6 sessions or something like that. 1 week off. That's what I had in mind, and I'm happy with that. But I'll go with whatever the majority like, and I'm in.
So you finished, Guy?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll go. Yeah, I can certainly commit to this time for the 6 sessions. I'm curious to what comes from this. Yeah, so I can certainly be in. Pretty much like David, today is a bit of a juggle day, but I can commit to that. Yeah, that's me.
I'll go. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I definitely am committed to the 6 sessions, and I think we should just continue from here. So again, next week. I don't see the point in waiting. I'm committed to the whole thing starting this year. That's it.
Yeah, I'll commit. I'm also committing to the 6-week program. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Wednesday today, I think. Yeah, right? It's a Wednesday. Yeah, it is. So I'm looking at the December month. I'm sure the 16th will be a holiday, and amongst Black people, that is a very busy day where family gets together, all that, I'm not sure I don't know what will happen on that day. So maybe we can also speak to that, Helena. Yeah. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Thank you, Bongile, and everyone else. I think we can definitely speak to David and see if we can reschedule the 16th. And we can, between all of us, agree on a different date if we can. Otherwise, we'll make a plan. I'm really glad. So this is back to the learning. So now I've accomplished 2 things with the second round of check-in. I've given everyone a chance to really check in with themselves and see, do I even want to be here? And can I commit to that and say it out loud? And I've also addressed my own assumptions and my underlying fear as a facilitator. Does everyone want to be here? And if I'm constantly second guessing myself, does anyone want to be here? I'm speaking to something that's not even in the room. So that's great learning for me as well. So with that, we are all in. We'll definitely be here next week. I'll send out some info. The last thing before you go, David. So the idea is, because we're doing this dialogically, I'll send out info what I'm planning to do ahead of class. If anything about it doesn't work for you, then you're really welcome to come back either to me or the group and say, I don't like this piece, or I don't understand why you put it in here, or maybe we could do it differently, so that we can have the dialogue in between the dialogues as well. So really to encourage you, if something's really bugging you, just speak up and voice it. Dialogues, voice, listen, respect, suspend. You're the only one who can bring your voice. So David, your voice is important. And this thing of I'm tired of process, I often feel like that as well. And for me, that's really a call to say, how can I drop the process and maybe bring something else, something new, something fresh? And I don't know what that would look like. But really challenge what's there if you need to, and also add or ask questions so that when we show up, we're working it together already. David, is there anything else you want to add before you?
Yeah, so my challenge is being a white, straight male is that on the one hand, being encouraged to bring my voice, on the other hand, learning to shut up, because I've kind of had the voice all my life. You know, it's like, it's that my work has been to like kind of, well, the projection is I've got all the power. You know, the white straight male has all the power, and so it's a difficult dance for me. On the one hand, I'm asked to shut up and listen, and then the other hand, I'm asked to speak up. So I just want to just bring that challenge that I have in these circles. Yeah. Like, I mean, for example, I'd like to see another black man and another black woman in this group. Yeah, but for me to go and say, yeah, I'm looking for a black man and a black woman, being a white straight male is kind of like, oh fuck, here we go again. You know, you just so that's such a fucking setup for me. So yeah.
Please open just a quick. So we're going into dialogue now. We're going to carry on going for the next 13 minutes before checkout. So
Yeah.
Go for it, Punky.
Yeah, for me, it's it's quite interesting what you say, David. Yeah, it's just, for me, it points out how difficult it is to be a South African, because race is such a big thing, you know, and sometimes it slows progress, you know, and because we don't talk about it the way that David is speaking about it and I speak about it, it goes into shadow, you know, it goes into shadow, and then it stops us from moving. An example would be like, there's a program that I'm doing with some other guy. He's an actor, and is doing some father-son. Okay, it's himself and the sons. So I maybe tricked it a bit to call it father and son, you know, program. So I want in that program to have training that must take place, you know, for the men and the sons, you know, and obviously I'm surrounded by white people, you know, and I'm surrounded by black people, but the resource in some cases is with white people who are in some cases skilled and maybe sometimes have financial resources. Now, how do we marry the two? Because I feel like race is that big, is that white elephant, is that elephant in the room that
The white elephant.
I didn't want to call it that. It's the white elephant in the room that stops people from moving, you know, because you sit there, what he's saying is relevant. You're supposed to be saying, hey man, we need a black person here, we need a black lady, we need a black man. And then at the same time, I'm sitting here in my little corner, in my black inferiority, and sitting there and say, So we are both not moving because of race, you know. And so it's high time that we talk about this elephant, whether you call it white or whatever elephant, you know. Let's talk about the elephant and see how quick we can move in nation building. And because it's there, every time there's a white person only in a room or a black person in a room, you can't help it but see this elephant. But we don't talk about the elephant. And the elephant is just shaking the body everywhere, you know? But it goes in hiding. Let's confront the shadow, you know? I think that's my offering to this dialogue and to these circles. South Africa will never be without a healthy dialogue about race, you know. And whether it's in business, it's in friendships, it's in different circles, we will remain stagnant because of this white elephant, race. Yes. Kamako.
So what happened for me was two things, Bongile. The one is I suddenly saw that pink elephant that stands outside the bottle store. I don't know why. You know, there used to be that big pink elephant. I don't know, when I was still drinking, there used to be a big pink elephant outside. The other thing is how easy it is for me to get caught up in the story around what I shouldn't say and start worrying about how somebody else is hearing me. And how, when I'm triggered like that, how difficult it is to speak in a way that I'm heard, and that I actually even see the other person, and that I really listen and see them, rather than worry about getting it wrong. And how, in a way, worrying about getting it wrong is blinding me, and I think is definitely how we are triggered, and why I believe triggering is such an important thing to address when having these difficult conversations. Because even as I'm speaking, I'm finding it hard to look at all of you, and I want to go into abstract blah blah because I feel safe there. So I'm gonna leave it with that.
I'm going to check out here. That's all right.
Thanks. Good to see you. See you next week.
Yeah. Can I add a bit more to my checkout, or have I had my? Have I my quote as a white straight male with privilege in the? I'm feeling. I'm pleased this has happened. I'm pleased I've stuck around. I'm more motivated than when I started. It's nice to see everyone here, and Helena, just well done for pushing forward and doing this. This has been a stretch for you, so well done on that. And thank you everyone for being here, and I'll see you the same time next week.
Thanks, David. Appreciated the kick in the butt as well. See you next week. Okay, so here we are. Guy and Emma.
So I'm confused at what the question is.
Well, we didn't, we kind of just went into it because David brought the issue of race into the room. So I suppose the question is, do we want to carry on with that? We've got another 45 minutes. So my original plan was to see what came out of the check-in. Why am I here? Do I want to be here? And see if there's any dialogue coming out of that. But I'm not stuck on it. For me, the racing speaks to why I'm here, because as a South African, it is a difficult conversation. I mean, even as I sit here, there's that, don't even want to go there, which is why we have dialogue. My sense is if we want to go there, it might be good to do some contracting around it. So that's where I stand with it. Maybe we can open it and just see where you're at. I'd love to know what's up. I get the sense Bongile is quite comfortable with it, but I don't know about Emma and Guy.
I'm comfortable with it. I mean, it's interesting for me as a foreigner, and I imagine maybe Guy feels this way. It's a different issue from not being South African. I have a different different perspective. So yeah, I'm interested in having a conversation about it.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine to continue the race conversation on the basis that Bongili's comfortable as well, because we've got 3 white people here and 1 black person. But yeah, I think I'm really interested in that conversation. I'd be happy to follow the check-in question lines, but I'm actually much more intrigued and curious about having a race discussion or discussion around race and how it impacts all sorts of things.
It's very interesting. It's something just crossed my mind now about the name. That's the fact that it's difficult for people to pronounce my name. Maybe sometimes it's irrelevant, because I'm looking at you guys' names from other parts of the world. They are pronounced differently, and I could maybe get them wrong myself. That there was an element of projection that was taking place there, because it can be very difficult to pronounce mine. And I'm looking at yours, Emma. I probably get it wrong, and Guy's as well. Is it Guy or Guya? I could say Guya. And it will be, So I've been struggling with Helena's name. I don't know. I wanted to call it. I couldn't say it. I couldn't even save it on my phone. So maybe when we talk about race, we need to be a little bit more open-minded, because I think my context or my understanding of race is based on South African context, of or racism, like if I may put it that way, in the South African context of apartheid, and which is probably similar to what's happening everywhere in the world, but I think that experience can cloud everything race, and racism. Yeah. Yeah, I'm done.
I'm noticing this thing that happens as soon as even the discussion starts. Is this a part of me wants to run screaming out of the room, and a part of me doesn't want to sit still and just want to start talking. So I'm just putting that out there. It's like this discomfort, and then there's a discomfort with feeling uncomfortable. I feel like it makes me even more what's the word? Auspicious is not the right word. When you're like a sitting target, it makes me feel more like, I don't know what the word is. If one of you could help me with the word, but the discomfort about the discomfort is what I'm having the discomfort about. If that makes any sense to the rest.
Sounds very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
Maybe we could have a quick round of everyone pronouncing their own name the way that they would like to hear it pronounced, or the way they pronounce it, the way we pronounce our own names, and see if that would let me know whether I've been pronouncing anyone's names wrongly. Would be useful. I've never been quite sure of your surname, Emma, so I'm very interested to hear how you pronounce that. So I'm going to go first, if everyone's okay with this idea, and tell you that my name is Gaia Loveman. And I'm going to hand it to Emma.
Yeah, no, mine is Emma de Crepini. It's all bunch of silent letters in my name. Yeah. I'm curious, is your last name really Loveman? Is that your real last name?
Well, it is now.
Okay.
It's
Doesn't matter.
It's not my legal name, so it's not on my birth certificate. I changed my common name a little while ago. I used to be Guy Saddleton, and I added an A to the end of Guy, and I stopped carrying around a ton of saddles, and I started being a man of love.
Now, part of me wants to go there rather than follow the name. So I'd love for us to come back there, but I think for now, I'll just say my name. So my name is pronounced the Afrikaans way, which is Helena. And my surname is Wagener. Wagener. Helena Wagener.
Wow, that is so different to the way I've pronounced your surname in my mind all this time. Can you say it again, please?
Helena Wagener.
Wagener.
And you see,
Wow.
what happened there, Helena?
Mm-hmm.
As a black man, when someone white pronounces nicely or pronounces it wrong, I sit there with anger about how, especially from a South African context, that I have learned to speak English and know how to. I learned how to pronounce their names, and that they can't in South African context. But if you look at someone from China, from Russia, and all these other countries where it's non-South African, I mean, they don't have that history. You know, I don't have that history with them, and I can easily box them in that space to say, "But I've learned yours. Why don't you learn mine?" But someone that is white from China will sit there with a different experience. Then I'm projecting my own South African experience to them, you know, who may not necessarily be racist in some cases, you know, or have not had the experience that I've had over the years. Because in South Africa, I can tell you that I know how to pronounce Michael. I know how to pronounce James. I know how to pronounce Quentin. But many of the Quentins and the James, the Jonathans, they can't pronounce my name. They always call me Bongile, or go to my surname, they say Mkumbeni. And I sit there, I'm like, bruh, I know that you are Jonathan Lavaskachny. You know, I even know how to pronounce it. And in South African context, I think, it's actually sad because the system made us to learn so much about other people, but I mean about white people, that I don't think it allowed white people to learn a lot about black people. And I can't project that to someone that comes from Russia, you know. I cannot project that to someone that comes from China. I mean, even Chinese, I can't even read Chinese, you know. let alone pronouncing their names. So I think from South African context, and it's also very important for people to understand race like that and be free to talk about it the way that it is. And racism in South African context, yeah. I think Emma was speaking to that earlier, to say that you're not South African. So there's context there. I'm bringing context to what you were alluding to. Yes. Done.
So I would,
Now, Bongile, I don't think you've pronounced your full name for me.
My name is Bongile Mkumbeni.
Say it again, please.
Bongile Mkumbeni.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
You know, it is so empowering, even me owning these underlying feelings of sadness and I don't know if it used yeah, there's some anger, because I think for me it is how the South African system was structured, starting from the name. Because if you don't take your time to want to understand and acknowledge what my identity is, how will I move because in this case, I'm sitting here, I have this anxiety of pronouncing getting the names right, so that I better understand you. And what I've seen with my experience with most of my white counterparts here in South Africa, it's like I'm just a by the way thing, And I mean, I know a lot about projections and everything. I definitely think I don't want to own that, because I go out of my way to get it right, But yeah, there is sadness just to see. Yeah, I see you guys saying, and everyone here is sitting and saying, it's so empowering to see that you guys are interested to know more about my name, Yeah. Yeah, and and also learning how Helene's name is Helene Wegner, Helene Wegner.
Wagner.
Helene
Wagner.
Wegner.
That's it.
Wegner. Yeah, so beautiful. It's Emma the
Decrepity.
Emma the Cripini. The Cripini. You see, it's Emma the Cripini. Please pronounce mine, Emma.
Bongile Mkumbeni.
You see what racism has done to us. Damn whoever owns that system. It's Emma the Cripini, Helena Wegner.
Wagner. Helena Wagner. Wagner. And Emma de Crepini. And Bongile. I'm Bongile or Bongile?
Bongile.
Bongile. Okay, Bongile, and I got no chance with your surname yet. I'm just going to keep working on Bongile. But could you say your surname again for me, please?
How do you feel that you can't pronounce it? What is the feeling under there? What is the feeling under the inability to pronounce it?
What I've felt each time you pronounced it is that the sound that I hear you say bears no resemblance to what I would expect from the letters I'm looking at.
Yes, I'm getting that. What the question that I'm asking you is that, please attach a feeling to this explanation. What is the feeling behind you feeling like, I'm gonna get it wrong. What is the feeling?
Oh, look, names. We're in the middle of a topic that's really dear to my heart. I spend a lot of time asking people how to pronounce their names and spell their names when I first meet them. And so, yeah, I guess I do have a deep desire to be able to pronounce people's names properly. And I don't feel like I've got that pronunciation yet. I was trying to remember a few others, and I haven't remembered yours. So for me, it's about busting myself and saying that to you. I guess the other alternative was to try and pronounce it and do a bad job, and then you could tell me anyway.
Yeah, I didn't get the feeling, but I wanted to get that feeling. What is
the
the
feeling?
feeling? Yeah, for being, yes. I want to know what is under that laugh. Yes.
The feeling is embarrassed, which
Yeah.
is a lot. It's in the guilty shame family. I feel ashamed that I'm not able to pronounce your name. I feel disappointed with myself, and don't really feel angry. I feel a bit of sadness and shame, I guess.
So what is the impact on you? How does this impact the fact that if you have these feelings? Yeah.
I have an MKP man here. Okay. One MKP process coming up. The impact on me is that I would sometimes choose not to try and pronounce it, and therefore walk away still feeling that guilt and shame, rather than try and get it wrong until I get it right. So the impact on me is that I can compartmentalize and continue to hold the shame. And the impact on others. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, I'm interested to know that whose voice or eyes or whose voice and judgment are you using to feel that shame? Is it really your shame, or is it someone else's? Are you using someone else's judgment and mind to feel this feeling?
Of course, it is from years of conditioning from my father, my schooling, and my church as a young man, where there was a lot of shame used purportedly as a teaching tool, I guess, but there was a lot of shaming if you didn't get it right. So yeah, my father primarily, and certainly backed up by school and church of my youth.
I'm interested to also see how will it feel to just use your own how your own judgment and your own mind will react to just pronouncing my name anyhow, and then I correct you as we go along.
Okay, if I was pronouncing your name from what I'm looking at with the letters, I would say Mumbeni.
How did you feel after saying it?
It feels good to me, except I know it's not right.
Look at the smile.
Yeah,
You see how
Kumbani.
good it is when you use your own judgment, your own mind, and not any other person.
That's true, Bongili. It's like, it's me owning it and being happy to say it my way, and not trying to keep someone else happy. However, I do have a part of me that likes to know how the owner of the name pronounces it, so that I can try and pronounce it in a way that is familiar to them, and I find it builds a closer connection when I can get that right.
Yeah, I think in this journey we will teach each other how to pronounce our names, you know. But thank you for the gift, Gaia Guya.
Yay. I'm so glad I've got a name now that people have to think about how to pronounce it. That's great.
I think the elephant is shaking right now.
Thank you, Bongili.
Okay. Yeah,
Please say it one more time, Bongili, your surname.
Mkumbeni. Yeah.
Mkumbeni.
Wow. Yeah,
Mkumbeni.
Yeah.
Mkumbeni.
So there's no M, it's just Kumbeni. You don't say the M.
Pardon?
You don't
Kumbeni.
pronounce the M, you say Kumbeni without the M.
No, you pronounce M. It's called Mkumbeni. If you are speaking English, you will pronounce the M. English will say Kumbeni. But in our language, you pronounce each and every alphabet there. Yeah.
Okay, so I would love to bring something, if I may, around my name that I became aware of while you were speaking, Bongili, how I immediately go, don't worry about it. I feel embarrassed hearing somebody else trying, because I know that my pronunciation as an Afrikaans person is like so minority, especially to English. I don't know if the mouths can even really form those words, that sound, and it doesn't sound like English, it doesn't sound like German. And I've just kind of parked it all my life. So there's something very uncomfortable for me around sitting with even naming it now. I don't actually like the feeling when someone tries to get it right. And then Gaia, when you said, but there's something about the report, I suddenly thought, how sad that I've allowed that shame around them getting it wrong to prevent me from. I hardly ever hear my name the way that my parents would use it, or that I heard it growing up. And I'll rather just not hear it and have that closeness than having to sit there and cringe, feeling that, but they're never going to get it right. So yeah, I'm just really sitting with that, and I can feel I'm feeling quite emotional about it, and not quite sure if I should or if it's important, or just naming it.
You've got me thinking about my name, because there's not a single person in my entire life who's known how to pronounce my name. I mean, it really is unpronounceable. No one can spell it. If I say what it is, people have no idea how to spell it. They try to say it, they always get it wrong. And I'm just wondering why I've always hung on to it. And I'm thinking about that it's partly because it's a really old Norman French name, and I was kind of brought up with the idea that it was a noble name. It was a name of French aristocracy. So I think it's so ridiculous. And I hang on to it because I think it gives me gives me a certain something. But it's really nothing to do with my culture. It's really inconvenient. So it's interesting. I've never really thought about it before. Yeah. And what it means to have a name that no one can pronounce my whole life. I mean, I hung on to it through marriage too. I've always refused to give it up. But that's kind of a feminist in me too. I just feel like there's no way I'm giving up my name, even though it's a name that came through men anyway. It's yeah, brings up other issues for me too. I insist that my daughter takes it too, rather than her father's name. It's just this. I have this thing about my name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, Emma. Thank you. It's like I mean, I'm really appreciative now of knowing how to pronounce your name. I've looked at it on the screen for quite some time, and I don't think I've ever attempted it. But it's another thing that occurred to me when you were speaking is that it's quite, I imagine, especially being an old name going back some generations, when the name was created, I imagine everybody would look at that and know straight away to pronounce it De Crespigny in those days. You know, I've got a friend whose surname is spelled Meagher, and he regularly gets called Meagher, so Jack Meagher, so Meagher, and yet the pronunciation of it is Ma, and goes back to years ago. And then apparently people who had that spelling who were called Ma, no one could pronounce it, so they changed the spelling to Maher, so people started saying it the way it looked. So it's names are very interesting. They carry a lot of energy, I reckon.
I think for me, part of my goal, right? Part of my goal starts with who I am. If who I am has not been acknowledged for some time, it might be difficult for me to claim who I am. Because every time someone pronounced my name incorrectly, if it was pronounced correctly from inception, and then at some point I allow people to pronounce it differently, I think that is when I will not be able to tap into my gold. And I think it has been the case for me, because when I was in high school, I went to from primary school, I went to a black school, and then high school, I went to white school. In white schools, they've always pronounced me Bongile Easton Mukumbeni, you know. And coming to think about it, I've allowed it to be like that. And that is when I disconnected with my goal, my gift, my reason for existence, you know. That now as I am older, I connect better with the realness, who I am, you know, and I can claim my space about my name, and my gold shines and beams better, you know, because of that acknowledgement. And because that is part of my identity, and by pronouncing it this way, I'm almost compelled to go back, as guys say, to say, who am I actually, you know? But if it keeps on being pronounced different, like now in this conversation, I feel that urge to even want to go deeper about my identity, you know, and by going to the name, it means I'll further go want to understand what does this bloodline do, you know, its qualities, its weaknesses, its, you know, I'll understand everything about who I am and my goal, and then I shine better in the world. yeah, so I think it's a beautiful, it's actually a very beautiful dialogue. Yeah.
So I've got 2 questions for you, please, Bongile, because now I'm still like, it's like I keep on forgetting the right pronunciation. So the first question would be, I would like to keep on checking for as long as these die. I would like for your name to come out of my mouth as close as my tongue can manage and get it right every time. And I know that it's going to take a while. So my question is, are you okay with that? You know, are you okay with me every now and again saying, and realizing it's really just coming from, it's my brain. It's like Bongile, there's the way that I've heard it said my whole life, which is the English way, which is Bongile. So just to kind of suspend that and say the reason why I keep on checking is not because it's not important enough for me to remember. Oh no! And while I'm talking, and then I'll drop this and go to the other question. Maybe we can all put it on our WhatsApp group, and then I don't have to ask you all the time. Then I'll make the time to listen to you saying your name over and over again. If you could just on our WhatsApp group speak your name, then I can just hit play till I get it right. Then I don't have to ask you all the time. How would that sit?
It sounds good. It's a very good suggestion. But I'm thinking that question that you are asking is a projection, you know, and it's probably how you will feel, you know, when your name is being pronounced incorrectly, you know. And yeah, part of the work that we do, Guya Kaya, is that I must own what's mine. And if that's how you feel about your name being pronounced wrong every time, you must speak for yourself, you know. Even though I understand where you're coming from, which I share the same sentiment, you know. It is just beautiful that we're having this discussion, I must say. You know, there's some projection, but I can own what you are saying as well. Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm hearing 2 things. The one is I'm hearing that I should also leave it up to you to ask and not assume that I've got to do it for you because of a projection that I'm making. I just want to see if I'm getting that understanding correct.
Yes.
Okay.
I not necessarily ask, but own what's yours. You know, if you want to ask, you can ask. You know.
So you're saying it's how I ask. So when I say it, I need to say I'm feeling embarrassed because I'm getting it wrong, and I'm thinking that you might be thinking this and this and this about me, and that's why I'm asking. Is that I'm just wondering.
And maybe you might also feel, you might also feel, you might also have a feeling attached to people pronouncing your name incorrectly, that you are projecting that feeling towards me.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm assuming that you feeling the way I feel when people pronounce my name incorrectly. Okay. No, I'm just because I can feel a part of me still triggered, so I've really got to slow myself down and just make sure I actually hear what you're saying rather than.
Yes. That's you have your own feelings about people pronouncing your name the way that they're pronouncing it, and I have mine, which is similar. There's similarity about how people pronounce, how we get triggered by people calling it differently, but how we get impacted is different, and that whatever that I'm feeling could be similar to what you're feeling, but you must own it. But I cannot just assume. You cannot just assume that I feel that. You know. Yeah. Because you have your own triggers, your own emotions around that. Yeah.
That's really big for me. Thank you. It feels important. I think it needs to land because it feels really relevant. But it's still kind of.
I think more acknowledging yourself, because I'm acknowledging myself right now. I'm acknowledging how I get impacted by my name getting pronounced somehow, and I think Emma also has her own her own feelings, and you know, it's probably similar, but own your space, because for me in my work, once that is done, that is when I'm able to claim my goal, and I feel like yes, you need to own it in order for your goal, which I see, to reflect better.
Thank you. That was my second question, and I also just want to check in because we've got 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So I'm going to check in with all of you. So I'm owning that I'm feeling some responsibility for keeping an eye on the time, and I also really want to know what you mean when you say my goal. So my reason for checking in with everyone is partly to deal with my own anxiety around taking up time for checkout, and partly to deal with my own anxiety for taking up time for checkout. Okay, I've said that. So is there time to check in? I don't understand what you mean by if I get your name right. It makes your, and I'm not sure if you're saying gold or goal. So
it's gold. It's like it connects me with who I really am, you know, and that in the process, I have full awareness of everything me, and if perhaps if I make an example, if I'm a good singer, right, that I know that I am, right, I will sing better because I've acknowledged who I am. So my goal will shine better, or my gifts will come alive. So by not acknowledging that, my gifts also go in hiding. That's what I've seen. There's a correlation between that because my name, I've come to I'd almost changed my name to Bongile Mkumbeni, and if I look at my gifts, they are hiding in Bongile Mkumbeni. And the minute that I pronounced it better, then I was able to connect with those gifts and speak like this. You see the way that I'm carrying on now? it's my gift shining. Yes.
Very valuable. So I'm going to check out with that. You've woken up something that's big for me, Bongile. Yeah. I really need to sit with it. I need to sit and reflect with what you're saying, because it's a concept that's completely new to me. I've never made a link between how people pronounce my name and how I bring myself into the world. So I'm going to have to sit with it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Gaia and Emma. The Crepini, is that right? And I check out with tenderness and deep gratitude. Thank you.
I guess I'll check out next. Emma, checking out, feeling really connected and grateful for the session. I was wondering what we were going to talk about, and I think it's interesting that we managed to discuss for so long our names. And that in fact there was so much to talk about in just going through our names and what it means for our identities. Yeah. So thanks everyone. I'm looking forward to next time.
Yeah, Gaia, checking out. It's been a beautiful session. I'm really glad that we've spent the time on our names, and I love what you introduced, Pongile, with the connection between when my name is pronounced correctly by others, it reaffirms who I truly am. You know, I don't think I'd ever made that connection either, but it really resonates with me. So, and I also like your idea, Helena, of each of us saying our names in a recording on the WhatsApp group, so that each of us can hear how we pronounce our own names and how we, how we would like to hear it. So I'm checking out with much gratitude, and I'm really glad I came along. I'm out.
Yeah, Bongele. I'm checking out with gratitude to connect with you guys, and to just be reminded about who I am. You know, by the name that I was given when I was born in this planet, and understanding that sound is also very important, which I was introduced to by my ancestors or my parents, you know, on how my name is said. That when it's said correctly, it reconnects me to my core, and allows me to shine with authenticity and honesty to the world. You know, yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, Helena Pagina. I love you guys.
Love you too. See you next week. Thank you.